Signer, a big morning right here on CNN News Central.
Happening right now on the brink of the biggest political decision of Kamala Harris's life. Any moment, Harris, in her first major move as an official presidential nominee, could reveal the name of her running mate and complete the 2024 Democratic ticket. It's a historic wait-and-see moment in America like no other. And this morning, new details are dropping about who and when and how. We will all find out. We've just learned Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has no public events scheduled today. To be clear, anything anyone reads into that would be pure speculation. But overnight, sources told us the race has narrowed to him and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. We have live cameras staked out right now outside each governor's home, watching every move. But first, let's get right to CNN's MJ Lee, who is in Philadelphia for us this morning for all of the new details that we are learning this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Sarah. You are right that we are moments away from history being made. Sometime later this morning, we should be finding out Vice President Kamala Harris's choice for her vice presidential running mate. And nothing about this process has been typical. For one, the vice president has really only had few days to deliberate seriously over this important choice. And in the end, it did appear that it came down to three names in particular. Those are, of course, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. All three of them did in-person interviews with the vice president in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. But in the final hours of this election process, we did learn that the vice president was focusing more on the first two names, Josh Shapiro and Tim Walz. Now, the vice president, of course, has been weighing some really important questions throughout this process, including who could help her win, who could help her govern, and also just the question of who does she have a strong personal chemistry with. That question in particular, of course, is only one that she could answer. And to that end, you know, she has been really armed with a lot of information from her vetting team, polling numbers to information about the personal lives of the three final contenders as she has tried to make an informed and best decision for her political campaign. Now, it is anyone's guess, Sarah, whether the vice president actually went to bed last night with this decision having been made, or if she felt like she needed that one final extra evening really to sleep on this decision, and if that decision is actually being made this morning. But either way, some very important phone calls are being made, or perhaps some of them have been already been made to, first and foremost, the running mate that she has chosen, to the finalists who did not actually end up getting the job, and then informing some of the staff around her who will now have to execute the public announcement of this choice. Now, as far as the announcement goes, of course, we don't know yet the exact timing, but what they are trying to model this after is Joe Biden's choice of Kamala Harris some 4 years ago as his running mate, when they made this announcement online via social media in a message to supporters. And the hope is that they can keep this really under wraps as close to that Philadelphia rally this evening, when the two are going to appear on stage for the first time together. Of course, so far, as of 7 a.m., they have been successful. We will see how long this news holds. Sarah.
And we're seeing that picture here that Kamala talked about, her biggest day politically of her life, where she accepted the vice presidential nomination. Thank you so much, MJ Lee. Appreciate your time this morning. John?
You know, we have live shots up of both the houses where Governor Tim Walz lives and Governor Josh Shapiro. One thing I will say, well-manicured lawns, very bucolic, but no signs as so far as we can tell of any movement inside. Let's get right to CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny. Jeff, I saw you looking at your phone right before coming to air. It got me excited. Any new information this morning?
John, always checking for new information, but as of yet, there is not. And this is by design. As MJ was just saying there, the campaign is intentionally doing a bit of a slow rollout this morning. I am told that this decision is likely to be in a matter of a few hours, more than a few minutes. We will see if that holds. But this is why. They're trying to build anticipation, and they're trying to allow supporters to get the news first through their list, through their emails, and through that video phone call. We're all thinking back to 4 years ago when the video was released of Joe Biden then calling Senator Kamala Harris. It's actually 4 years ago this week to make that offer through a Zoom phone call. I'm told to expect a similar type of arrangement. But look, all eyes are on Minnesota Governor Tim Walz this morning, as well as Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, talking to a variety of Democratic strategists, advisors, campaign officials overnight and this morning. There is a split among who would be the better choice. So this is Vice President Harris's choice and hers alone. There is no doubt that here in Pennsylvania, these 19 electoral votes are central to winning the White House. So that is why Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro is seen as a leading contender. However, I'm told that he will be at this campaign rally tonight here in Philadelphia either way, and he is likely to campaign for this Democratic ticket either way. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz really was a late bloomer in this accelerated search for a running mate, coming on very strong with support from progressive groups and moderate groups as well. He was at a campaign fundraiser last night in Minneapolis, showing that he too can help raise money for the campaign and be helpful. So, John, at this hour, this is the vice president's choice to make. I am led to believe she has already made her choice. She has just not told many people about it. You need some time to set this into motion, of course, but it's the biggest decision she will make as a candidate, and we'll see what she does, I'm told, in likely a couple hours.
Well, that is something, at least. If Jeff Sennelly is reporting he believes that she has made the decision, we're just all being kept in the dark right now. Jeff, very quickly, in about 30 seconds or less, she really didn't deal with a Democratic primary. In a way, the whole VP selection is something of a primary.
John, it has been something of a primary. We've really seen divisions in the left as well as across the spectrum of the Democratic Party coming out in favor of one of the candidates or actually against some of the others. In Pennsylvania, Governor Josh Shapiro has been at the center of a campaign where progressive Democrats have been urging her to pick someone else. What we do not know is if that sort of encourages her to follow their lead or perhaps to show an independent streak and choose Governor Shapiro. Again, thinking back to when in the summer of 2008 when Barack Obama made his choice of Joe Biden, he said it was a coin toss. There were a lot of good options. So Vice President Harris, who's been talking with former President Obama, we know in the last few weeks, seeking guidance on this could be a coin toss for her as well. John, it will, though, say something about what she believes the future of the Democratic Party is and her electoral chances are, whichever governor she decides.
All right, Jeff Sennelly in Philadelphia. If something pops up on that phone, shout. We'll put you on immediately. Thank you very much.